I wanted to start by learning a little bit more about the United Methodist denomination and what that means for people who have maybe never been in a United Methodist church. I went to one in Texas and I thought it was so fun because it had the music that was contemporary that I was used to in my evangelical background. And then there were just little rainbows all over the place. So there was this combination of some liturgy, some tradition, and some progressive theology. And it was so beautiful. I felt at home, but then it also aligned with my values. And so I wasn't constantly triggered sitting in church. But I'd love to hear about your church and your denomination.
Yeah, well, United Methodist Church is huge, and it's a really big umbrella. If you visit United Methodist Church, there's just so many different kinds. The United Methodist Church exists around the world, and it tends to be very contextual. So there are particular styles of worship that are traditional that you'll find in Methodist churches. I like to call it sort of more folk traditional. Is probably the most common Methodist church experience in the sense that it's not high church, but they have a tradition. But there's a lot of freedom in the United Methodist Church to kind of express worship in a way that makes sense. And there's a real celebration of that diversity. So yeah, you'll find contemporary churches like ours is contemporary, and we merged with a more traditional church. So now we are contemporary with a little bit more elements of tradition. We throw in hymns and the organ occasionally. In fact, sometimes we'll do a really upbeat praise and worship song, and then the organist will play with it as well, which is always kind of unique and fun. So we play with the genre a little bit, but the Methodist Church allows a lot of flexibility in how it expresses ourselves. Denominationally, we're like, yes, let's have worship that's contextual. When you talk to individual congregation, it kind of depends. Every congregation has their own sacred worship. If you talk to any Methodist pastor for any extended period of time, you can hear the stories of trying to change that, which is really like in any probably traditional environment. If you try to change the worship that people are used to, you can get yourself into quite a mess. But I've been United Methodist my whole life. My dad was a United Methodist pastor, and I grew up in a Methodist church that was older and traditional, and quite frankly, didn't want anything to do with reaching new people or connecting with people my age. And so kind of gave up on church for a while. And I felt like sort of real ministry happened in the nonprofit world. I was in the nonprofit world through college and after college, working for a prison ministry and a few other Christian nonprofits. But it was really experiencing and diving into nonprofit ministry where I was longing for a community. And I remember this question that brought me back to the Methodist Church and this is what forced me to become a pastor, was this question. I was like, what if there was a nonprofit that was doing work in the community, making a difference in the world, but all of its volunteers and its donors got together on a regular basis to celebrate and to be in community and to encourage one another? And that's when like the Holy Spirit kind of hit me and was like, what if that was a church? And I was like, oh, okay, I could get behind that kind of church, like a church that's operating like a social justice agency doing work in the community. But yeah, some of us get together on Sundays or whenever in our community together.